Hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to have some fun, and I'm calling this episode In Case of Fire. So if you had a fire and could only save 10 of your figures, which 10 would they be? Yes, I know if you have a fire in your residence, the last thing you should be doing is rooting through your boxes of your collection looking for that irreplaceable figure, unless your wife or significant other insists that you do it while they're heading for the exit. So I'm not going to do a public service announcement on what to do in case of a fire. Anyone old enough to watch this video should be well versed, or else they're candidates for the Darwin Awards. Number 1. My king and country figure of Hercule Poirot, that consummate Belgian detective made famous by Agatha Christie. Yes, I know he's not a toy soldier and is a fictional character at best, but King and Country really captured David Suchet, who for me is the iconic actor who played Poirot for many years. If you collect any of the King and Country non-military building facades like Streets of Hong Kong or Old London Town, or the recent Carter's archaeological excavation of King Tut's tomb, Poirot would easily blend in. Number 2 is my Fusilier Miniatures bespoke World War II universal carrier. You've probably seen it on one of my earlier episodes. It's done in D-Day colors with the emblems of the 2nd Canadian Armoured Brigade Fort Garry Horse Regiment. Fusilier does this type of additional painting upon request, and the proprietors did a good job, and I'm certainly satisfied. Number 3 is my first effort at painting a toy soldier. It's supposed to be from the Royal Newfoundland Regiment, circa 1815, 1820. It's the same one you see on the opening of each episode, and for sentimental reasons it makes the list. Yeah, the painting isn't perfect, but it's how I began collecting when I attended a workshop on painting metal soldiers at a community museum almost 30 years ago. Number 4 also has a bit of sentimentality for me. When I traveled to Hong Kong in 1992, I literally stumbled upon the King & Country store at the Pacific Place Mall. It was like entering a candy store or Alibaba's cave. I was simply blown away by what was inside. On that day, I purchased this box of figures called First of the Few, celebrating the RAF pilots of the Battle of Britain. I think the set was to acknowledge the 50th anniversary of the battle. It's described as a limited edition, and my set is number 350 of 1,000. It's done in gloss, and I don't regret that I didn't buy the Beatles or Elvis Presley figures instead. But take a look at them. It really does say something about King and Country and how they really did a nice job on gloss figures before they switched over to the different format later in the years ahead. Number 5 is my Britain's figures that are embossed with the word Déposé on the bottom of the bases. As I mentioned in my episode 7 on the issue of Déposé, these are quirky and out of the ordinary, so on that basis, I'm throwing them into the bucket. Number 6 is a Sackle figure of a medieval knight. I really like the detailed painting, the feathered helmet, and how the colors yellow, silver, and red pop on this figure. Notice the visor, and it does move up and down. My eye is always drawn to this when I see it on the shelf, and I believe that every collection should have at least one medieval piece, regardless of who makes it. Number 7 is this box Mignot set, number 590, a diorama of French Napoleonic artillery. I bought this at the Galerie Lafayette in Paris when I attended a G7 working group there about 2003. I remember wandering the store and seeing these Mignot figures and boxes and thinking, I had never seen anything like this before. I didn't even know Mignot existed. In my best French, I spoke to a young sales lady who probably didn't know much about the figures either, but we managed to conclude a sale, and I ran from the store to my hotel and then caught a taxi to De Gaulle Airport. Now, this was not long after 9/11, and security at the airport was still extreme. My thoughts were that I would put the diorama box in my carry-on so that it wouldn't get crushed in my checked luggage. When I put the carry-on bag through the x-ray, I was promptly directed by the security for a secondary search. Couldn't be the Mignot figures. It was a small toy cannon. Yep, it was the Mignot box that the security guard wanted me to open up. He took one look and said in French, as only the French could say, "J'aime ça. I love the figures." And he went on that he was a Mignot collector and wanted to see which one I had. Amusez-vous, bon voyage. Incroyable. I laughed all the way to my departure gate. Number 8 is my box set of the Color Guard of Canada's Royal 22nd Regiment, what we call the Vendus, that my in-laws bought for me for my birthday one year. It's a limited set, number 53 of 70, and I was totally taken aback by this gift. I didn't even think they even knew I had a small collection of toy soldiers, but this was a super nice gift, and I'll always cherish them because they came from my in-laws. Number 9. I know I said this list was about figures, but this is my channel, so I get to break the rules from time to time. This book, The Art of the Toy Soldier, was the first book I had bought that was exclusively about toy soldiers. I bought it through an online secondhand book dealer, and it was at the time the most money I had ever spent on any type of book. It's signed by the author on the inside cover, and I've read this book at least 4 times from cover to cover and enjoyed the pictures of the toy soldiers contained inside. It really opened my mind to the incredible history and variety of figures that are out there. It's also a great coffee table book because of its impressive size. My number 10 on my list is Britain's number 1264. Yes, you heard that right, number 1264, 4.7-inch naval gun. This I picked up in an Ontario antique store. It is the earliest version of what later became the quintessential number 9730. This gun has no front shield. I'm not sure you can call it painted, but the barrel is a bronze color and the carriage is gray, as are the wheels. The spring mechanism for the firing action still works, as does the elevation screw, which is original. It has no Britain's markings on it, save for a reference number, RD388707. When I saw it in this store, I thought it was interesting. Certainly had all the looks of the 9730, but in the absence of a Britain stamp on it, it looked sketchy. But I googled the reference number and found an obscure article on a website called Planet Diecast. The author wrote this piece over 10 years ago on the history of the number 9730 4.7-inch naval gun, and from this I am surmising that my gun, being the earliest version, was made sometime between 1907 and 1915, could be even a couple years earlier. But I thought, wow, what a really interesting find, and so that's why it makes my number 10 list. Well, that's it for my In Case of Fire list. I hope you enjoyed this, and if so, leave a like or subscribe. Think about your own list, and until next time, keep collecting.